you just put on the bass part and his vocal, that's really kind of all you need.
Yeah.
Like Penny Lane, if that's all you had, you'd go like, oh my God, I hear a whole world. But anyway, it is intimidating to play beside him. I don't think I looked up for the first 6 months of touring with him. I just like, I'm not looking up. I know he's there. He might be watching.
Hey, here we are inside your Uncle Joe's garage, supported by Mike Thompson RV. A special guest today, Brian Ray, a local boy, has come back to the garage. Welcome back.
So good to see you again.
You know, he's a guitarist with, what's that guy's name? Paul McCartney.
Paul McCartney.
Paul McCartney.
That's him.
Now, before we get into the history,
yeah.
Since you're in the garage, the first question is always, what was your first car? And you grew up out here, I know.
Yeah.
So what kind of a beater was it?
Well, my first car was a 1968 MGB GT.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and it was my stepfather's, and he had the good sense to not let me have a driving license until I was 18, so that my younger sister was the first to teach me how to drive a shift, because I was a wild thing, and he knew better than to get me out on the road at 16. And he required that I buy the car from him.
Wow.
Teaching me the value of the dollar.
Yeah, that's
$1,800. But hey, man, great car.
Well, that era of MGs, the windshield wipers would fly off if it actually rained, and there'd be oil in the ground to keep track of where you were. So
exactly.
It's right in. You started playing guitar, how old were you?
I was about 8 when I actually learned how to tune and play a guitar, yeah. Damn. But it didn't stop me from lip syncing way before that. In school, I would bring a guitar in there and have no idea how to tune it, but still I'd lip sync to a Beach Boys song, every little nuance, you know. I was a ham, yeah.
This guy McCartney, this Paul guy, he has a few stories too.
He has a few stories, yeah. He has a future.
Well, if he can keep the band under control. You're the newest member of the band, and you've been with them for,
I am.
what,
yeah.
14,
so,
15, 27 years?
15 years in right now, yeah. And I was the last one, as you said, added to the bunch. Wicks, the keyboard player, has been there the longest of the four of us, the backing band. And he started in '88, so he's a veteran.
He's a veteran.
And Abe and Rusty came in just a little bit before me to do some recording, and then the same guy who produced that recording brought me in to complete the live picture.
Abe Laboriel Jr. is one of the great drummers.
He is?
Yes. Well, he paid me to say that. And he's always smiling. So's Wick.
Wicks. Yeah, they're such great musicians. It's so inspiring. Every night it's a ride. Every night it's a journey. Every night it's a lot of extemporaneous, you know, human moments all the time, meaning mistakes.
That's is that you had me sold, are you?
No, it's real.
How nervous did it make you to be playing guitar with Paul McCartney in front of all these crowds, but also then playing bass? Because you are the bassist, the guitarist, and a few other things as well.
Yeah.
One of the greatest bass players ever, and does he give you tips?
There's no doubt that he's one of the greatest bass players ever. I mean, and then there's this other thing, which is when you just listen to him play with just a drummer or just the track soloed, a live take, anything, it is so incomprehensibly in the pocket and so good and so soulful. Like, he's a very, very good musician.
Yeah.
Besides being a very inventive, melodic bass player and famous for his sort of counterpoint. Like, if you listen to any of those great records, if you just put on the bass part and his vocal, that's really kind of all you need. Yeah. Like Penny Lane, if that's all you had, you'd go like, oh my God, I hear a whole world. But anyway, it is intimidating to play beside him. I don't think I looked up for the first 6 months of touring with him. I just like, I'm not looking up. I know he's there. He might be watching. But yeah, it's intimidating. And it's also just it's a great honor to be entrusted with his bass parts. And then to also be able to play lead guitar and rhythm guitar and slide guitar and acoustic. It's the most you could ask for as a musician.
Brian Ray is with us from McCartney's band. Your personal band is the Bayonets. We'll get to that in just a moment.
Okay.
Because you just played recently with Sir Paul. You played the Desert Trip. There were a few people at this. The stage was perhaps the largest in the universe, I think.
Yes, yes.
How much fun was that?
That was more fun than you should be allowed to have without jail.
And
resulting from the fun.
Well, you were with the Stones too, so no, that wouldn't be possible with them.
Yeah, I mean, it was tremendous. The whole weekend, 2 weekends were fantastic, and it was a lot of people. It was like 85 or 90,000 people per night for 6 nights.
Did you see the other bands? Were you around to watch them?
The first weekend, I stayed and watched just about everything. Yeah. And it was great. I mean, down in the front of the audience area, which they called the pit, the standing area in the front, you'd see Keith Richards and his wife standing there watching Bob Dylan. I mean, everyone was a fan of everybody there, and everybody was excited. So in that way, you really felt like you were in a special zone. You're with the most important artists of that time, and they're all excited as the next guy to be there.
Were you able to actually function as a musician without having all the assistance that your techs give you on stage when you're working with Mr. McCartney?
That's a very good question. The answer is no. No, you get spoiled rotten having a crew, but there is actually something, Joe, about setting up your own gear, lugging your own gear, that is invigorating. It reminds me of all those years with Etta James. For 14 years, until the last maybe year or so, I didn't have a guitar tech. I didn't have someone lifting my gear. And there's something about that that pulls that sort of, that whole day into a different experience where you're changing your guitar strings, and when you're wrapping up your gear and you're putting it into the back seat and you're driving away. Or renting, but it's a great feeling. And the Bayonets, we were a do-it-yourself band largely. We really didn't have a lot of management or budget support. We just went and did it.
Well, little Steven Van Zandt has given you, he said many fine things about you.
Yeah, I mean, little Steven Van Zandt discovered us on our first single in, I guess it was 2012 or 13. I'm not sure right now. Sorry. His wife discovered. Our first, Maureen Van Zandt, discovered us from Twitter. I had tweeted, our single comes out tomorrow, and here's a link to it. And she played it for herself, loved it, and played it for little Steven. And he went on to be a champion of the Bayonets, naming 6 songs in a row, coolest song in the world. So we're very, pleased and indebted to him.
The latest song is "Christmas Time is Cruel."
That's correct.
Great tune. I'm not sure, is that a love song or not?
Of sorts.
Of sorts. Did little Steven produce that like he did the other things?
Little Steven was a co-arranger on Christmas Time is Cruel. We turned it into him, and he goes, "This is great, but I want more castanets, more 12 strings, more Phil Spector." And I went, wow, he's a full kitchen sink, okay. And so he says, let me go and record some of these ideas for you. I'll send them to you, and if you like them, use them. If you don't like them, you don't need to use them. But I'm going to play the song anyway, but here. So we had all this energy for it, and it was inspiring to us, and we did, in fact, use his overdubs.
Christmas Time is Cruel. It's available right now, which is appropriate because it's kind of Christmas time. I don't know if anybody pointed that out or not, but that's... And are you going to be performing live at any point in time? Does this band show up places?
It has before. It has been known to show up places like Argentina, and I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. And we played San Francisco, Las Vegas, LA, Orange County. We've played a bunch of shows. Right now, what's on tap for the Bayonets is some more recording. We're doing 2 more singles for the Gem label. Out of the East Coast, and they're re-releasing our album Crash Boom Bang in addition to 2 new songs that we're finishing up now.
Excellent. Well, if you need some help hauling equipment, that's what I'm qualified to do.
Really?
And next time you're in the neighborhood, please stop by the garage again.
Thank you so much.
Brian Ray.
Great to see you.
The Bayonets, Paul McCartney Band. Oh, the stories we could tell about. Hey, here we are inside your Uncle Joe's garage, and I know you haven't been inside the garage yet, but I got some great news for you. We've created a mobile version of the Uncle Joe's garage thanks to our friends at Mike Thompson RV Superstores. Like they say, don't miss a moment. And don't miss the mobile Uncle Joe's garage when it comes to a location near you. I'll be looking for you.